Hello. Today I'm going to demonstrate SlideRule Analytics' integration with the Shopify Customer Privacy API. This integration allows Google Analytics, our Google Analytics integration, to work with your cookie consent banner to make sure that we respect the customer's choices in the cookie consent banner, so long as that cookie consent banner is integrated with the Customer Privacy API provided by Shopify. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate the integration. So first, I'm on a VPN, so it looks like I'm in a GDPR country, namely France, as we'll see in a second. And I'm going to go to my Shopify store here. And we'll see that my cookie consent banner will pop up. There's my cookie consent banner. Now I'm going to open up my Google Analytics real-time debugger so you can see what's happening in Google Analytics 4 with SlideRule Analytics, how SlideRule is sending data to Google Analytics 4 based on the cookie consent banner. So first things first here, you'll see the banner's popped up. I haven't accepted it yet, and Google Analytics 4 hasn't fired. You may see Google Analytics 3 fire. That's not provided by SlideRule. If you have Shopify's built-in Google Analytics 3 integration, you may see that fire. It's no longer relevant because Google Analytics 3 shut down on July 1st of 2023. So we're not going to talk about it anymore. All right, Google Analytics 4 here, as you can see, not firing. As soon as I accept the analytics consent cookie here, we'll see that Google Analytics 4 fires. SlideRule fires a page view event, just like you would expect. Cool. It will also fire all of the other subsequent events. So from this point forward, everything works as normal, just as if the customer, the visitor, was not from a GDPR country. Okay, cool. Let's take a look at what it looks like when they don't accept cookie consents. So let's go ahead and open a brand new incognito window. You can see in the real-time report there for that previous user, it says that I'm in France, right? And it shows all of the usual stuff that we would expect. First visit, just in start, everything looks normal here. Okay, let's go ahead and go back. And this time I'm going to deny cookie consent. So we're going to load up the exact same thing where I've got my analytics debugger. We'll put a link to this analytics debugger in the show notes at the bottom. All right, and I'm going to start debugging. We're going to see the same thing. No Google Analytics for fires. Now, if I just keep using the website, you see this cookie consent banner is at the bottom. And oftentimes we'll see that customers will just completely ignore this cookie consent banner, right? They'll just go through your website without interacting with it at all. And if I do that, the Google Analytics 4 events will never fire. They'll never fire client side, just like you would expect. Now, it works the exact same way if I come in here and I don't accept analytics and statistics. That's what Google Analytics 4 falls under. So if I come in here and I only accept strictly required cookies or functional cookies, if I click accept selected, you'll see Google Analytics 4 doesn't fire. Now, with SlideRule, it doesn't fire client-side events. It will still fire server-side events. If you recall, SlideRule sends checkout through purchase, the checkout through purchase, begin checkout through purchase. We fire those events server-side. What that means is that it doesn't fire through the user's browser. So what do we do in this situation? The user has not accepted cookies. Do we still fire a server-side events? The answer is we do. We do fire server-side events. Let me show you. Okay, so if I go add to cart, I add an item to the cart and I click checkout. The begin checkout event will fire. It doesn't fire client side. It doesn't fire in the browser, so my cookie debugger here isn't going to do anything, but it does fire the server-side begin checkout event. SlideRule Analytics does. Why is that? Well, we fire that event, but we don't associate it with any client-side session. So there's nothing about that begin checkout event that I just fired that could be used to identify this user. That's our best understanding of the GDPR regulation, is that we are still allowed to fire events server side. We are just not allowed to associate. We can't have anything in those events that could be associated or help to identify a user or their browser. Since we're not tracking anything client side, there is nothing to identify that begin checkout event or any subsequent events like a purchase event with this user. So why do we fire it, right? We still fire that event because it makes tracking the impact of your cookie consent banners much, much easier if we do fire those events. Let me show you what those events look like. So we can see here in my real-time report that there, my begin checkout event fired. You can see the real-time report still says there's only one user that's been on the website, right? But it does have, that was the first user that accepted cookies. But it does fire a begin checkout event. And we add a parameter to this event called analytics consent granted is the one on the event. We also send a user property that you can use called has analytics consent granted, has analytics consent. And you can use that property to see how many begin checkout, but in particular purchase events are coming from users that did not accept cookies. The reason why that's important is you're going to see an increase in the number of unassigned where traffic source medium is unassigned on your purchases if you have cookie banners enabled on your website, right? But we still want you to be able to see, we want to fire the purchase event anyway, so you can still make that one-to-one comparison between Google Analytics 4 and Shopify. You don't have to question why is it that Shopify and Google Analytics 4 aren't matching. The purchases and the revenue will still match, and you'll be able to use these parameters to see how many of your purchase events are unassigned, have no traffic attribution because of your cookie banner, right? So that's the value of that parameter. So if you don't have that set up already, we set it up automatically for all users that installed our app after a certain date. But you can come in here and you can look at custom definitions. And if you go down and you look at this parameter, user property has analytics consent granted. If you don't have that, you can add it like this, and it's just whether the user, it will be 0 if the user has not consented to analytics. That's how it works. Cool. So you can use that in all of your reporting to see the impact of GDPR cookie banners on your tracking. That's the value of this. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions and you want to know more about how this works.